You're ready.
Okay. Okay. So we'll call the September 17th meeting of the Port of Commerce Advisory Board to order at 12 o'clock. Ask the removal of hats and silence phones, please. And Tony, would you lead us in a pledge of allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Roll call for today's meeting. Scudder? Here. Regis?
Here.
Atwood?
Here.
Broom?
Here.
And Sheriff Joplin.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Just very nice. Thank you all for attending. We have a brief period here for citizen comments or anyone in the audience. You have up to 3 minutes to speak. I don't think we'll need 36 minutes. I don't know if we've got anybody signed in, but after anyone who's signed in speaks, anyone that's in attendance that would like to speak, just raise your hand and the chair will recognize you for 3 minutes. Is there anyone who's signed in?
There is no one signed in.
Okay, so we'll open it up to the public. We have a nice attendance. Thank you very much. Phil, Mr. Calusa, if you'd step to the microphone and state your name, your inside, outside the city limits.
Okay, my name's Phil Calusa, inside city limits. I've been a strong advocate for heat pumps. Some of you know I've been kind of in it, but I thought I'd take this couple minutes just to let some of the new folks know some of my background. I've spent better part of 50 years in the energy efficiency world, so I've got an opportunity to do a lot of fun stuff, just like many of you in your trades have learned a lot of things and worked with a lot of different people. I spent 17 years in Nome. 12 of those, 6 years was an elected Nome Joint Utility Board member, followed by another 6 years on City Council. So I have a little idea of how community utility politics work. I don't know how to run generators, but I understand the politics. I spent 6 years as a state energy program manager for Alaska, mostly involved with low-income weatherization, rebates, home energy audits, all those kind of programs, building energy standards. About 8 years ago, I installed my first air-to-water heat pump and been monitoring that ever since. We've monitored a number of other mini-splits. In fact, we just completed a little study that we looked at 12 heat pumps in Seward, specifically in looking at energy use. Again, I've been advocating this for a long time. I've been, over the past year, been collecting information on heat pump studies and reports, looking at incentive programs that are being implemented across the country. It's been kind of fascinating to see that everybody's are different. There is no one perfect answer for doing some of this stuff, but over the course of 8 months, I did put out and I did provide PACAB a copy of my proposed incentive rate program for Seward. Fortunately, I never really heard anything back from the council or administration, but I hope we can continue to look at that because we have some opportunities I know you guys are going to be talking about to kind of look at some of that stuff. So I guess I just want to make sure that everyone knows I'm available, always interested in whatever we can do to promote heat pumps, because after 50 years, when I came to Seward, heat pumps were the #1 thing that I saw we could make the biggest change in lowering energy costs for consumers, increasing revenue for utilities, and if you care about the environment, a beneficial impact to the environment. So I look forward to listening to your discussion that you're having today. I'll use the 5 minutes at the end to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Taylor Crocker inside city limits, and I thought I would just take a moment to give you a couple updates from the electric department. So number one, on Monday the 29th at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. we're going to be having a town hall at the Ray Building to discuss the future of the electric utility. So we're hoping that as many people from the community show up as possible. And then my other announcement is we're going to work to revive the Mount Marathon hydroelectric plant. And so in the next 3 weeks sometime, we're going to have to shut the Jeep Trail down for a couple days so we can brush it out. And then we're working through our permits. There's only 12 permits required to muck out the reservoir at the top, but we're going to get the reservoir mucked out and then hopefully use some of the material, depending on what kind of material comes out of it, to enhance the Jeep Trail. We're going to make a little diversion on top for the trail so we can keep it open for the majority of the project. But then we have to put a blind on the top of the penstock and pull all the valves and try to get the power plant back up and running. And this is our first kind of attempt towards hydro. We're also starting a study for FERC permitting for 3 additional hydroelectric plants within the Seward Bowl. So anyway, just wanted to give you an update on that and let the community know that there will be some announcements coming out, but the trail's going to have to be closed, unfortunately, for a couple days while we use the excavator with the brush head on it and throws chips about 300 feet. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Warner.
Hi, Casey Warner, inside city limits. I'm just here to let you all know that on Tuesday, October 28th, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is Threads Summit on Economic Impact of Early Care and Learning. I would like to officially invite anybody in the public and also on PACAB to attend this summit. Just a little bit of information about the summit. Let me see if I can find it again. Childcare continues to challenge Alaska's workers and businesses. Families, communities, and businesses struggle when parents lack access to reliable, affordable childcare. A robust childcare system is crucial for nurturing Alaska's workforce, alleviating family burdens, supporting worker retention, and strengthening the quality of life and economy across Alaska. I really hope all of you take a look at threadalaska.org at their website, take a look at the summit, and I hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Thank you. What was that date?
It is October 28th, Tuesday, October 28th. It's an all-day summit from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Thank you.
Where?
Oh, where? I'm sorry, Chris.
Oh, yep, sorry. It's at the Marriott Anchorage downtown.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's go. So we'll go to the approval of the agenda and consent agenda. We have one item on the consent agenda, which is the board minutes from May 21st. Are there any changes, or is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
And a second.
I'll second.
The motion's made and seconded. Are there any changes, corrections? I would like to add a brief discussion for being prepared for the meeting agenda under new business.
And what is that regarding?
That would be regarding our being prepared for our meeting that will set agendas, meeting agendas.
Oh, meeting, okay.
I don't want us to be sneaked up on and not be prepared. Okay, would the clerk read the motion?
Voting, we're motioning to discuss we're approving the Are we voting on the whole thing? Okay.
Yes.
Voting on the approval of the agenda and consent agenda as amended for today's meeting is Grill?
Yes.
Scudder?
Yes.
Regis?
Yes.
Atwood?
Yes.
Chair Jaffa?
Yes.
And voting on the approval of this agenda is the approval of the May 21, 2025 Port Commerce Advisory Board minutes and adding the discussion for the preparing for meeting agendas.
Thank you. Okay, we have no resolutions. What would other items be? I'm not quite sure, but we don't have any other items. Okay, so we'll move on to special orders, presentations, and reports. We have no proclamations or awards at this point. We have the city manager's report, and I would ask the harbor master to introduce our new liaison advisor.
Thank you, Chair Jaffa. I'll take a moment to introduce Kristen Wise. She came to the city, started with the city on May 28th, and is our newest executive assistant.
Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you.
Okay. Another smiley face, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay. Kristen, could you just brief us quickly on the manager's report? I am, again, appreciative and encouraged by the effort that and I know it's not just the manager, I know it's the whole department that presents this information to us. So could you briefly give us an oversight?
Sure, absolutely. I wanted to highlight that Public Works has worked around the clock to help the tunnel through there, and it had flow rates of 40 cubic feet per second, and at the peak it saw 479 cubic feet per second, and the bridge was within 1.5 feet. Debris had gone all the way up to the bridge, and there was just a little gap of 1.5 feet there, so shout out to our Public Works Department who has been keeping us safe. Next week, the library has Good Neighbor Week, so be good to your neighbors and say hi, bring a dish, or you can go celebrate Good Neighbor Week in the library. And then finally, I wanted to reiterate, I already had it on my list, but Taylor came to say it first, so I'm going to say it again. The electric department has a community town hall meeting. It's going to be at the KM Ray Building on September 29th at 7 p.m. and everyone's welcome to attend. Thank you.
Are there questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, Chair Jeff,
Please.
thank you. I just wanted to see if you would touch base or give a little bit of information on the accident that happened at the tunnel last week with the dozer going into the water. Do you know anything about that? And the
I believe that'll be in the next city manager's report.
Okay, I had one thing on the, I think our electrical manager has, I'm sorry, Taylor, but manager, director, has given us some overview on a community meeting. Could you tell us a little bit about the visit to Cordova, I think that the manager was involved with?
I would absolutely love to invite Taylor to come up to speak about Cordova, as I was not in attendance, and it would be best from the horse's mouth directly.
So we definitely had a great visit in Cordova, and I'm actually going back on Monday again. But our main purpose of the visit was to meet with Clay Copeland, the CEO of the Cordova Electric Cooperative, who's actually coming to our town hall on the 29th to speak about how moving from a municipality to a co-op created an economic driver for the area of Cordova. But we were mainly looking at their hydroelectric run-of-the-river plants at Humpback Creek and Power Creek. So these are both streams that have salmon spawning down at the base, and Cordova makes pretty much all their living off of fishing. So there's really no tourism, no cruise ships coming in, but they were able to cut the price of electricity in half, and so their new residential rate is 23 cents a kilowatt hour. And they've got a block rate, so when you hit 1,000 kilowatt hours at your house, it drops to 6 cents. So the cost of generation from these run-of-the-river hydros is 4 cents. And so everyone, if they have a heat pump at their house, then after that 1,000 kilowatt hours kicks in, they're paying 6 cents a kilowatt hour from there on out, and their base rate's, lower than anyone on the rail belt. So we're basically taking what they've done and just trying to, copy it for Seward if that's what the community wants. But we spent, I think it was 3 days working with their CFO, with Clay. They actually, the first day we got there, they had Green Spark data centers, and so we're going over to Clay's house for dinner, and CEO for this data center company was there, and so they were talking about how they're using their excess hydro to power these data centers, and then the data centers is like also cutting everyone's electric bill down from their high usage. And they can turn them on and off whenever they want, so it's like if they have excess power, the data centers run, they're getting paid, and then if they don't have excess power, the data centers don't run. So it's just things like that Cordova's been focused on, and in my opinion, I think Cordova is farther ahead than any other co-op probably in the country when it comes to efficiency, and they were having a hard time getting a workforce put together. And so like their plant operators are all guys that were like fishing, but they partnered with Penn Foster University, and so they have this like operator and training program that's 4 years long, so they can just hire local kids off of a fishing boat, put them through the 4-year Penn Foster program, and then they journey out as a plant operator. And so they build most of these projects in-house without hiring contractors. And so anyway, there's so many good things that they're doing, and it's hard to discuss that all in this meeting because I could go on for hours. But so James Unrein and I are going over there on Monday because I put him in for the Hatcher Turkington Award for the Alaska Power Association. It's the highest award that you can get as a utility employee. And so, he won the awards. Now we're going to go over and accept it at the APA annual meeting. And then I'm also introducing James to all the operators, and so we can basically copy what they've been doing and bring that back to Seward. But any questions?
Questions? Yes.
Yeah, you answered part of my question. I was just thinking about how these hydro projects were funded, how they're paid for. Sounds like the municipality came up with the money?
So they have received a few grants from the Alaska Energy Authority, but they've actually borrowed most of the money from like CFC Bank. So that's getting into like the co-op model. So if like the municipality gets a bond, we're like I think 5 to 7% interest right now. Co-ops fall under the USDA, and so if you get a loan from CFC Bank that's a cooperative of itself, but they just borrow money to co-ops, it's set at 1.5% interest. So you can borrow funding for these larger projects, and your interest rate's like locked down because it's under the USDA. And so that's like one of the many benefits of the co-op, but you can actually make a project. I think their Powder Creek project, if I remember right, was $25 million. And most of that was financed over like 50 years. And so you're basically amortizing your debt over the life cycle of your project. And so it really pencils out, it's not adding, you gotta factor in like the future and stuff too. So like right now we're paying between 11 and 15 cents in our COPA, which I'm sure everyone notices on their electric bill. In 3 years, if they get the liquefied natural gas coming in, that's probably gonna go up. I'm not sure how much, but if we like plan for the future, so like Cordova isn't planning like for tomorrow, they're not planning for like the next generation, they're like planning for 3 generations from now. So I think they have like 5 more hydro projects that they're looking at building out, but yeah, we could do the same thing here, and it's just, we have to get these projects studied, so we're probably bringing McMillan on for that. And then we'll just kind of see how they pencil, but the run of the river are much cheaper to build and easier to permit than a traditional like dam project. So.
In your study of this, I'm sure you've gone to the Cordova Electric website. Is that a good location to find their description of their equipment, their facility, their business model?
Yes and no. If you want a really good insight into their hydro projects, they actually had seed media from Valdez go down. So if you go to YouTube and type in Cordova Electric Cooperative, and they've got part 1, which is their Humpback Creek project, and then part 2 is the Power Creek project, they actually have a woman fisherman, fisherwoman that owns a commercial boat that goes and tours each one of these sites with Clay, and he discusses like their whole project and how it benefits the community, and they cover the salmon, any effect it had on the salmon, and they're really good videos, and I think they're about 5 minutes a piece, but it's some of the better media that I've seen that's come from a cooperative. And our goal is, when we're working on the Marathon Hydro and our tree clearing and all these different things, we actually bought some drones this last year, so we're going to try to take some good videos and share that with all of our customers and what we're doing, and try to get the word out, because we have a lot of projects going on, and I mean, I'm guilty of like not taking enough pictures of this stuff and actually sharing it on our Facebook account and everything, but we got so many exciting things going on in Seward. I'm sure like if people saw like a video and the progress on these projects and stuff, it would make more sense when you're looking at our budget and whatnot.
I would encourage everybody to prepare for the meeting on the 29th by looking at that video. I appreciate that, David.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions of Kristen? Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. We have the Alaska Railroad report. You have that in your packet. Page 16, I asked Board Member Atwood to wear his other hat.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of things. First of all, I have my latest hire, a new assistant court manager, Darcy Larson, who's in the audience here. And I'm happy to have her on board, and she joins Eric Johnson. And Darcy's been around since the 15th, right? That's the first day, yeah. So anyway, but people know her, and she's quite experienced, and I'm very excited to have her on board. And so we have 3 of us now doing port management work. And a couple of things I wanted to note in the report. One is I'd written in here about an anticipated 4 cruise ship day on August 6th, and I've learned from cruise line agencies that we may have pared that down to 3 ships in port at once, which is good from a management standpoint. But also, I didn't have any general cargo listed. I noted some pipe ships that had come, and I believe now we are looking at a pipe ship in January. I don't have the date or the tonnage yet, but we're looking forward to that now. And then just a word about the terminal building itself. On the opposite page of the report, there's an aerial showing the new terminal construction. The steel's going up, and we're excited about that. But the current terminal building that we're using, we're vacating it on the 22nd. And so I'll be moving out of it, and it will be demolished. And as part of, I guess that we have on the 18th, there's a farewell to the terminal event. So if you wanted to come down to the terminal from 4 to 7 p.m. at 6 o'clock, people will share stories and say goodbye. I think there's going to be light refreshments. But anyway, this storied facility is going away, and we're in the process of replacing it, and that's my report.
Okay, questions? Yes, Board Member Sawyer.
Thank you. Is there an ETA when the new building's going to be complete, and is there like a ribbon cutting ceremony scheduled or anything?
I am not aware of a ribbon cutting ceremony as of yet, but we have very tight deadlines to get not only the terminal, the new terminal constructed, but the new dock in place in time for cruise ship traffic in mid-May. So we're looking I'm looking at potentially moving into the new terminal building as early as April. So, yeah, things have to happen fast, but that's the timeline. And I'm sure we'll be able to give plenty of advance notice when we get on to, the opening of the new facility.
Thank you.
Questions, other questions? So where do you stay in the meantime, a caboose somewhere?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have the former coal loading facility office building, which has not been in use since 2016. It's a two-story building, and it's somewhat west, north and west of the existing terminal building. And that will be the transitional space that dock operations will occupy over the winter, as well as the North Star stevedoring office will be downstairs at that location.
I had another question. If I read this correctly, the 2026 projection of 70 ships or 90 ship days, that seems to be down from what I remember as much as 100. I know that this is a difficult time with the change of facilities, et cetera, but we're not seeing a trend here. Are we a downward trend?
Others could probably answer this better than I can. I believe that year over year, we're going to continue to see growth, but of course, we did see some amount of traffic reposition to Whittier with the dock, and some of that was anticipated. And I think we'll continue to see growth. We had 62. Yes, I believe, maybe we had an additional it was 62 dockings this year. And of course, part of it is just the capacity of the ships. You could have many more ships, they could be smaller. So in terms of passenger numbers, though, we are optimistic that we'll continue to see growth going forward. And, having a new facility will certainly promote that.
I do have one more
Okay,
question.
sorry.
The Quantum class ship, Ovation of the Seas, do you know how many passengers that holds?
4,500 approximately.
And that's every other Friday?
That will be, yeah, through the summer. That's one of the things we're preparing for.
That's a lot of people.
I have another question, because I think this is a really critical thing for Seward economy to understand. And I would agree, the quality of the visitors and how willing they are to spend money here in the community is as important as the actual numbers. But with a boat that's going to bring 4,500 people, do you anticipate them moving, this is kind of a segmented question, but do you expect them moving by the rail, by bus, or by our new commuter flight?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I anticipate all modes of transportation. Largely, though, we will be seeing motor coach. We'll build bigger trains. We'll try to accommodate as many passengers as we can. And of course, the commuter service is small. So we'll be seeing coaches largely.
Okay, good. For later. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I think...
I got one.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
What is the railroad doing to help promote the new dock and terminal in Seward?
So, are you asking about what is our marketing?
Yeah. Are they out like contacting cruise ship companies to try to bring in more ships to Seward?
Yes, so a couple of things. I know that we have sales and marketing staff at the Alaska Railroad who are working, for example, to get more aggressive sales for the train. That's one of the things that we're preoccupied in. I don't know if this answers your question, but yes, we are working that angle. And in terms of larger use of the dock, yeah, I mean, we have representatives from the railroad who will go to conventions in Miami and places where they are held in order to talk about what we have to offer. we have a marketing department that tries to attract other lines that might not be present now. I can't speak to what our budget is, but there is an effort.
Cool. One more question.
Yeah.
What is the railroad's plan to use the dock in the wintertime when there is no cruise ships?
Right. So that's a very good question. We plan to use the dock year-round. We plan to have the terminal building at our disposal for public use through the winter. Now, we're going to learn some new things about this dock. It's 1,350 feet overall. It is a floating dock. We've been, working with a solid deck dock that's it's different. So the vessels that do come and the services that we do provide, they may change somewhat. And but to answer your question, the dock is going to be available, and as is the terminal building in the off season.
Okay. I'd just say that if anyone wants to have some further information on marketing through the railroad or business strategies, we could invite former Chair Terry down here at some point.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, well, bring it up in your comments. Okay, so next we have the Chamber of Commerce report. And it's always an important part of our agenda. Thank you, Darcy. And again, if you'd just kind of introduce yourself again.
Sure, yeah. Hi, my name is Amanda Sweeting. I'm the new Executive Director at the Chamber of Commerce. I know new, kind of relative, 5 months, but I know I attended one meeting before we stopped for the summer, so. The report isn't in your guys' report. Kristen Wise has been amazing, and she's been working with me on like how to set that up and make sure I'm here. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'll just do like kind of a brief overview of what happened this summer. Obviously, Mount Marathon, 4th of July, went off really well. Had a lot of really great working relationships with the city. We added a maker's lot by Ranting Raven to create more foot traffic through the downtown businesses, and we're working more closely with downtown businesses during the road closure to make sure they have representation and that they don't see a slowing of business. Silver Salmon Derby was amazing. We had the privilege to dedicate it to Dorothy Earbox, which was a great local angle. We did nonprofit barbecues every day, and we arranged that time to be more towards when the people actually come in, so they're more lucrative for our local nonprofits. We did a pro fishing category, and that we're hoping to evolve and flesh out a little bit more, but we wanted to show our commitment to supporting our charter businesses as well, since maritime culture is such a pillar and foundation of kind of Seward. So we'll be continuing to support our charter captains. Some fun facts: in 2004, the number of fish that were weighed was 786, and the number of fish weighed this year was 1,092. And then the cumulative fish weight last year was 5,927 pounds, and this year it is 14,206 pounds. So quite a difference. And then all the fishing people were able to buy back their fish for $5, or they give it to us, in which we in turn sell it to OBI, and those $5 buyback and the OBI sales goes towards fish restoration in the Kenai Peninsula. So it doesn't go towards the chamber, the derby itself, it goes towards continuing to support the salmon runs here in the Kenai. We did sign up to advertisements again with Latsa.org, so we will literally be on the map that they produce, and then we will also be attending ETIA, and if you guys are attending, we'll see you there. We did also sign on to now continue the tradition of the polar bear jump. So the amazing nonprofit and board who was doing it before, we're looking to hand the reins over, and we wanted to keep that tradition going, so we will now be doing the polar bear jump. So it's our first year doing it, and if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, we're open to that. We do have Small Business Week coming up. which I have flyers. I don't know if I'm allowed to leave them or not, but basically we have 3 events happening on the Seward, Alaska Entrepreneurship Week, which is September 30th to October 2nd. And it gets kicked off with the Small Business Appreciation Mixer, which is sponsored by Royal Caribbean, and they're going all out. So food, drink tokens, the food's going to be sponsored by the Flamingo, provided by the Flamingo, and there'll be live music by Banana Hands, a local band, which is going to be really fun, and there's going to be decorations. It's going to be great. And they're also using that venue to announce a really exciting project that they'll be doing here in Seward to support local businesses and entrepreneurs. So if you're thinking about starting a business or you're an entrepreneur, I would definitely recommend attending because the announcement will be pretty exciting. So I highly recommend. And I have a flyer just for the mixer as well, if you would like to. And again, that one is on Tuesday, September 30th from 6 to 8 at the Gateway Hotel. And then also on Wednesday, we have Ladies Who Launch. We have a panel of local businesswomen. And then Seward Chamber Luncheon, Kellyanne is going to do the topic trends and traffic, which is that Datafy visitation and for statistics, which are really great and helpful. We are doing the destination guide now. We're starting that process at the chamber. An edit we're making this year is that usually in sections there's shop, stay, play, there's eat, play, stay. We're adding a section called shop this year to better represent more businesses here in Seward, and that will highlight our local shops, which is great. Also, we are doing ad sales right now, so if you want to run an ad in our destination guide, we print 40 to 50,000. It's the most requested visitation guide out of all the chambers. We're already out this year. It's very, very popular. It gets about 15,000 views online. I would highly recommend putting it in. It's like our biggest advertising opportunity here in Seward, which is great. And then, so you know that we moved our chamber hours to reflect that of the cruise ship schedule. So usually we switch to winter hours during Labor Day, but we now have switched it to go to winter hours when the last cruise ship is in town. So the 21st, after the 21st will be Monday through Friday. And that is pretty much it. Oh, I did have some cruise ship numbers. I don't know if you guys were interested that we had put together in office. And this numbers include debark and embark, and they might be changed or different. Dwayne, if you want to correct me, but this year we saw, including debark and embark, about 88,171 cruise ship passengers, and then with the new cruise ship docks, so far what's on docket, it's 94,058 cruise ship passengers, and that's including embark and debark. There is a difference in the fact that so far, at least when we did this like a month and a half ago, this projection, there wasn't an April boat, and this year we did have an April boat, and with embark and debark, it was about 5,000 passengers, so I don't know if they're going to be another April boat. So I thought that number was interesting, because I know there's been a lot of thoughts about all these extra people, but it's not that much of a bigger number, so yeah.
Wow.
Any questions or feedback?
Yeah, is there any questions?
How do you get the passenger counts on and off through the chamber?
Yeah, so we look at the cruise ship, and I have it all right here, and it goes by cruise ship, the schedule that they post online, and then it looks at their like itineraries, and then if those ships are also embark and debark, and then each one has also if I share this with someone else, each cruise ship has a reference site to make sure that each one is it's referencing something true. Yeah.
Board Member Regis?
You're still doing that online tracking of visitors?
I know that Datafy collects the phone pings. I know that some Datafy numbers are a little bit different due to phone privacy laws are changing. But I haven't collected those yet. Yeah, but I know Kellyanne during that Small Business Week, her trends in traffic will touch base on that a little bit. We did attend the KPED economic development meeting at the beginning of the summer, and there were some interesting Seward statistics in there. We went down 8% in population. The overall age on the Kenai Borough is going up because families are moving away. So I'm interested to see what the tourist season brought and like what those numbers are as well.
Thank you.
I have a question, if I might.
Yeah, Board Sutter?
Just to clarify, Board Member Regis' question, the Chamber of Commerce used to have the Datafy in-house, but has since pushed that out to the Kenai Peninsula Economic District.
Yeah, so the Kenai...
Don't do it, the Chamber doesn't do it anymore?
We have access to a portal, like a login, that the Kenai Peninsula sponsors, and they kind of are the ones who have the account and create the filters. We can work with them to create different filters. I just recently had a meeting with CAPED. Just with the jumping, all of us, we're a new team, and all of us jumping in for the summer. Our concentration has been on make sure summer events happen, but that will be more of a concentration for me once the fall hits. Yeah.
Hey, I thank you very much for bringing your report. It's got a lot to it. I'm sure you'll be working with the executive assistant, Kristen, on how the information you've got can be given to the clerk and
Yes.
given to us as a laydown.
Yes.
And so everybody would have it.
Copies.
Ahead of time, but you'll get that. Curious as, you do have a Facebook page?
We do have a Facebook page.
And would your reporting have a similar kind of summary in your Facebook page?
No, Facebook is a little different. It's more bite-sized information pieces.
Okay.
And then we also, on our Instagram, follow a new social media calendar. We used to just reflect businesses that have events, but now we're reflecting to create a more wide variety of representation. We have a new social media calendar, which also, by the way, Sunday is Workforce Sunday. If you have workforce things to share, construction, maybe the event on the rebuilding on the 29th, those would be great events to include on that. Anyways, once a year though, we'll be putting together an impact report, basically a summarization of like what has happened in the past year and how it has positively impacted the community and kind of the work we're doing at the chamber to better support the economic development in small businesses in town, therefore creating livelihoods for my community members. Yeah.
If you pardon me, I got several more.
Yeah, no, rock it, I'm here.
You did mention CAPED, the Kenai Economic, whatever.
Yeah, I say the same thing.
And I knew Tim Dillon, but I don't know the current administration over there, but how, Consul and CAPED work very closely in a lot of ways, but how much activity is CAPED doing down here in Seward?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the small window of time I've been here and how busy we've been, I did the CAPED, they did that great. At the beginning of the summer, they do like a little mini conference for the Kenai Borough to say like what's happening, and then they give a presentation. That's how I know like the population of Seward has gone down 8%, like how much median households are cost, how much like annual salaries are. So that information was really great. And then they also came to town and had a sit-down meeting. We chatted for like an hour and a half at Res Art just about thoughts on Seward and population issues and, you know, what issues we face, which the city planning and zoning, Danny, his meetings in the beginning of the summer were very useful in that conversation, I would say. And then with, they do like monthly Datafy check-ins, which is really great. So they've been very involved.
I think they're a great asset.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely. This might be a little simpler, or the two next things I have is on the cruise ship, the 88,000 people over the dock, one way or another, and other breakdown that you gave. Do you wind up with a rating matrix, you know, like they have 1-star, 5-star kind of thing? Do you have any idea how those visitors are rating their visit to Seward?
I don't have anything personally like that. I mean, I think you see them now, a lot of the places, it's kind of like a dummy version of ratings where it's like at the end of a transaction, it's like a smiley face, a sad face, and like a neutral face, you know, it's like red, yellow, green. I mean, we could put one of those at like an iPad at the visitation center and people could just like rate their visit. I do know that we've seen an uptick in guests at the visitor center. And just in July, we had a little bit over 3,000 people in the visitor center, which was great. So.
Well, I think people's experience is as important as the numbers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, people that are happy are gonna spend money. I see the merchants. I love being downtown, seeing people walking around, asking them where they're from, and so what, and their responses, most of them are very, very positive on Seward.
Yeah, I mean, we could maybe look at the overall Yelp and Google review ratings of our tourist-based companies in the summer and maybe do an average star reaction, you know?
Okay, the last one, and we might get into this a little later, but because the chamber, your members are many of the businesses in Seward, and many of those are realtors, renters. I don't know if the Airbnb people are chamber members, but do you, I'm starting to get a feeling that there's a softening in the housing market, that there are more opportunities for people to rent or purchase.
I know that Seward Properties did release a report on what the housing market's going to look like this fall, winter, and it was pretty helpful. My parents just moved to Seward, so they are also in the buying market. And I'm just summarizing what I read from that, and I'm just remembering, so you might want to maybe read theirs. It was just like an email, if you subscribe to their emails. It's switching more to a buyer's market. People have less income, disposable income with the high amounts of things happening, and houses that are above 500 tend to be sitting on the market longer. So houses that are within more buying, so people are pricing houses cheaper. So if you have a bigger house that's going to cost a lot more money to sell, I know that's been a harder sell recently. But yeah, our board member Jenna is going to make a presentation to our board next month about real estate trends. But I would recommend Seward Properties. They put a lot of thought into it. Yeah.
Well, we certainly know that they are building houses and units around town, so hopefully that will help.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Yes.
All right, so in unfinished business, we'll move on to unfinished business. We have no resolutions. We have that twice. But now we have discussion on the heat pumps, and this was opened up a little bit earlier by Phil, if I'm right, Mr. Calusa. It's in your packet on page 18. There's a great synopsis that Kristen has put together for us. This comes from, well, an executive summary, if you will, and I don't know, I did skim this earlier, and I got a chance to look at it before the meeting again. Phil brought this to us a couple months ago, maybe even, well, several months ago, about this potential. We did talk about it a little bit, and somehow I was under the impression that it was water over the dam. I thought that we'd lost the opportunity on this, but it doesn't sound like this report makes it sound like it's still viable.
Yeah, when doing the research, it's actually the perfect time because they were delayed in some of their rollout, and so we're just gleaning those benefits, luckily. So, yeah, the timing's actually quite perfect. There is a section all about the timing. We've broken this out into lots of different incentives and eligibility. A program timeline is, this is when they're going to do their phase 2 rollout where people can start to apply. Seward status, so this is really only a community-based incentive. This isn't for the city. This isn't like to make the heat better within city buildings. This is only for residents of Seward.
Which is still good enough.
I just wanted to make that clarification.
No, I appreciate that. I think that doesn't mean that the city shouldn't look at some of these, particularly in some of the new buildings that they're anticipating, which is somehow being overlooked by some of the engineers. This is not rocket science. I mean, we can all learn, understand the heat transfer really easily. The one thing about this program that I see is that the people who may need it the most, and I would say that economically challenged, our reward, do have an opportunity at a larger grant. However, to attain the grant, they've got to put the money up front. They have to buy their system and then apply for a restatement. That's the way I understand this review. I'm not sure that there's any mechanism through the city that we could advise on that would be able to help that. If we had a co-op, that might be a different story, but we don't. And I would like to kind of suspend the regular order of business and ask two gentlemen in the audience to help us understand a little bit about what opportunities might be out there. If the city can't help, who could? Because clearly someone who can afford it, that gets the lowest amount of return, it's not a problem for them. But the people who really need it, renters or low income, that's a real problem. If there's no objection, I'll suspend the regular order of business. Okay? I asked Phil and Taylor, is there anything in your mind that either is available now or might be available under a reorganization of the electric utility that could facilitate this? I know that Chugach has several of the other utilities have rebate programs.
Right, so like in Cordova, if a member wants to put a heat pump at their house, they've got a $5,000 credit. So once you install your heat pump, they credit your electric account with, $5,000, and that covers your, bill until you eat up the full $5,000. I think Kodiak has something similar, and Chugach has a rebate, but no one has the actual, heat pump electric rate for the homeowner yet. And so what we're wanting to do is get these AMI meters installed. And so the RFP for the meters closes on the 26th of this month. Then we've actually got a consultant that's helping us with the evaluations, because there's like 268 evaluation criteria under that RFP. But once we get the AMIs installed, we can get this program called GridX, which runs a never-ending rate study. And you can put the heat pump rate into that program, and it'll tell you if it's going to be fair and equitable with the rest of your rates. There's also the ability to look at block rates. But until we can set like a special rate, the city could also come up with a heat pump incentive program as far as a rebate goes. I don't think there's anything that prevents a municipality from doing that. They would just have to add that to the tariff. But yeah, it's just getting everyone's electric rates down is like that's all I work on. And so I'm definitely in full support of the heat pumps, but I also want to make sure it's fair and equitable with everyone else, and try to drive everyone else's electric rates down so the community is easier to survive in.
It would seem like it'd be unfair to advantage one person and not another. So.
Well, that's the law, so you have to keep all of the rates fair and equitable. And the best way to do that is with a rate study, or but like just setting a heat pump rate on a whole house right now. Let's say you put a heat pump on your house, so you've got your 1 meter and your whole power bill's less than your neighbor. Like, I'm not seeing that as being fair and equitable, because you're not just using that power for the heat pump. You could be running whatever else you want, like heaters for your chickens or whatever else, at that lower rate that your neighbor doesn't have. So that's the biggest trick when you're setting a rate study, to make sure everything's fair and equitable between the different rate classes.
And this meter system you're talking about would have some method of equalizing that, or?
Yeah, you can set different rates up, but the main thing I need is the data from how we're currently using power, to then put this program in study mode, you can add a heat pump rate to it and see how that's gonna affect, you know, not just residential, but small general, large commercial, and industrial, because everything has to balance.
Sure.
And I'm not really sure that we're that balanced right now. You know, one thing, there's gonna be a letter going out to the large commercial customers that they haven't been billed for power factor. And so we're turning the power factor billing on probably the next month sometime. But it's just things like that, you know, that we need to look into.
Little things like that.
Yeah, we could debate some of this stuff forever, but in terms of that grant program, it's my understanding that the low-income folks, that the installer will actually cover the upfront cost of the installation, and then the installer will get reimbursed. So I think this is an incredible program. If we're trying to get heat pumps into lower-income households, up to $8,500, you know, this is up to a couple hundred heat pumps. This is an opportunity that lower-income people aren't going to see for a very long time. So, but without rates that can justify operating heat pumps, it doesn't make any sense. And my understanding is they've had discussions with CAP about if Seward's rates aren't economical, they're really not going to do anything to promote their program in Seward. They're going to essentially spend the money elsewhere, which is why my big promotion is trying to get some kind of a heat pump incentive rate that gets us over that hump, that allows us to get that $1.5 million that's been allocated for Seward to get these heat pumps in lower income households. Otherwise, rebates don't do anything if you don't have rates to go with them. To me, it's a cost to the rest of the ratepayers. If somebody puts in a heat pump and doesn't use it, and we basically gave them $10,000, that's kind of a loss to all the ratepayers. So, you know, there are a ton of issues, and I wish we would spend some time looking at what the lower 48 cold weather tier states have done with incentive rates, because nothing is new anymore. This has been going on for 10, 15 years. Norway's got 60-70% of all their households have heat pumps. Now, they've been doing this for 10, 15 years, so we're kind of behind, you know, the curve. In terms of studying, I've studied stuff my whole life. I appreciate numbers and I appreciate studying things, but when we're just looking at a 10-year plan of putting in heat pumps, I don't think we have to wait for some huge database to tell us what's going on. We can certainly be putting in dozens of heat pumps or a few hundred without impacting utility at all. But as we go forward, I can certainly see where we may be needing to adjust transformers and stuff. So again, I think this is an opportunity. If we let this slide because we can't come to terms with some kind of a program, the discussion about, well, why are we giving these guys a break and not somebody else? Well, if your neighbor puts in a heat pump and they're still generating additional revenue for the utility, everybody benefits. If they don't put in a heat pump, nobody benefits. So as long as there's a net positive gain to the utility with an incentive program, there is no loss to the rest of the people who decide for whatever reason they can't put in a heat pump. So I want to make that clear that my intent was to always generate additional revenue with a heat pump incentive rate. So, I don't know, any other questions or?
Go ahead, no, please.
My questions are specifically about the grant, and I'm not sure if anybody here can answer my questions, but when you said that they're not going to promote it in Seward if there's not an incentive to do so, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be available to residents of Seward. If somebody wants to apply, they can still apply. So if we can get this out there somewhere, some other way, people will know about it. My other question, when I was reading through this the other day, I noticed under the eligibility requirements that a primary heating source must currently be fossil fuel or wood. There's a lot of new construction going on in Seward. Is this program available for any new construction? Does anybody know the answer? Doesn't sound like it.
No,
so.
I don't believe it's for new construction.
So it has to be
A home that's
replaced.
already been built and it's up and running, they certainly would be eligible.
But there's no incentive for somebody, if I'm building a house currently,
Right.
right now, there's no incentive for me to put in this heat
No,
pump other
not-
than
not-
the
not
environmental
this program.
incentive.
And again, this program really was focused for lower income households as their primary target. But they did allocate funding for higher income at a lower rate.
Thank you.
What's the income requirement?
Oh, it's at 80% median, $50,000 a year, I think, meets that 80% requirement.
Yeah, medium income, average medium income.
I think it's around 50 grand for the Kenite units.
I had a discussion recently with someone who, the former chair of this PACAB and former manager of the city, who has 2 heat pumps in his home, who told me that even at the current electric rate, he's saving money. Even at the current rate. So when I hear that we have to lower the electric rate to justify these, I'm confused.
So, I mean, there's two, if you own a heat pump, right now, the simplest numbers to use, it takes about 13 kilowatts of electricity to produce the same amount of heat as a gallon of oil. So what's our current electric rate? Times 13 cents. That's going to get you into that $3.50 a gallon equivalent. So right now we're about break even, maybe a little bit less. I don't chase oil prices anymore. I used to do that. So to have an existing heat pump, go, yeah, well, I'm still saving some money. I think that's true. If you're going to invest $5,000 or $8,000 into a heat pump, and you want some return on that investment, it's not there. So that's the two different worlds.
But I agree with you. I'm not going to argue it. But there's something that's missed in this discussion, and that's heat pumps, particularly mini splits or anything that distributes air with a fan, is a different way of heating a house than, say, radiant or a boiler or something. So there could be a gain in just the method of distribution, besides the method of gaining the BTUs. It's how you distribute it. That's the whole key with heat.
And your boiler may be very inefficient compared to more efficient boilers. So, it works on both sides.
So the long and short of it, that this program, even at current rates, has a lot of merit. And it has a lot of merit. And we've talked about these rates for 2 years probably, Phil, maybe longer. And I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get the administration and council all together and write a resolution that says this is what we want the electric utility to do, particularly with now we're looking at possible management changes in the arrangements in the utility, in the electric utility. So I think we need to promote this, frankly, under the current conditions. And
go forth.
I don't know how to do it. I'm speaking to anybody out there on YouTube that's listening. That's definitely a good idea.
With a good rate, I think, I and Sustainable Seward and everybody would be more than happy to be putting on training and seminars and encouraging people to participate. But at a break-even utility rate, I've been at this for 50 years. You cannot sell energy efficiency without a return on your investment. And I don't see the return.
Depends on your site radius.
Unless you own one like I do, I continue to run it. But
Well, even with that, I mean, we're all expecting instant returns. No utility in your house gives you instant returns. So we just have to adjust what means it. I'm all for heat pumps, you know that.
I know that.
Yeah.
You're just plain devil's advocate, I
So
understand.
the other thing to note here is like for the low income, I don't have the numbers of the people that are on energy assistance in Seward, but it's a large number. And I want to say that the income requirements between like 35 and 40,000 a year or something to get on that. But I'm just shooting from the hip, because like, so there's these social service programs that, you know, look at everyone's income and stuff, but we just see like half of some of these people's electric bills getting paid, you know, because of the low income status, and
I think a lot of those funds are gone now, under Trump. Low-income fuel assistance program, I think, was terminated.
well, there's 14 programs for assistance, and we just went through this because we did disconnect notices last month, and so we were able to refer people to all these programs, you know, if they can't pay their electric bill. But there are a lot of people that probably qualify for this, they're also on assistance.
Sure.
You know, that would help them obviously pay their heat pump bill.
This is renters as well as owners. This program is for renters as well as owners. And there is something encouraging. I didn't read the full story this morning, but there are communities in rural Alaska who are now pursuing alternative energy without federal support because it makes sense.
So the community of Cape has adopted a heat pump incentive rate based on a study done by Steve Cole from Alaska Center on Energy and Power. I was trying to get them, Steve, to do a study for us, and he was interested, but he's already so overcommitted on funded research that I couldn't.
Is that report available?
Yep.
As a comparative?
I got it right here.
Maybe you could provide
I mean, it's
that.
very complicated because they got PCE and they got a little excess hydro now, and so it was kind of a complicated study. But the bottom line was, it's a net benefit to the utility to offer an incentive rate where everybody still benefits. So happy to share that, whatever you want, I can drop that off.
If you could share that with the clerk, or at least a link to the clerk, and then, okay. Any other question? I'll close, or bring the meeting back to order. Does anybody, board members have any other questions? All right, so we'll move on with our agenda. Board Member Smith let his position terminate. I thank him for his service. He brought a lot to the board. Ben was is a professional mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, pardon me, who has a broad understanding of a lot of the things that we dealt with here, but my understanding from him was that he has personal business that he has to deal with, and this was too much of a strain on that. Along with that, we need to have a vice chair. So Kristen has put in your packet on, let's see, what page was that?
Page 22.
I think I understand the process, but on page 22 is a procedure for nominations, and you can nominate yourself, should you feel you want to do that. But I'll open up and see if anyone wants to nominate themselves. Okay, I would nominate Board Member Atwood, and I would hope that he could accept the position, and then I won't blow any smoke here, but I know that his experience level would allow him to come to this position with some background. So,
I'll second that.
don't need a second nomination for election, but thank you.
This motion requires a second.
Yeah? That's not Robert rules, okay.
That came from the clerk's office.
Okay,
We have it down.
okay, we got it covered.
Well,
There's a second.
yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Hearing no comments from any others, I'll accept a nomination.
Okay, with an applicant, are there any other nominations? Okay, nominations are closed. I would ask the clerk to call a vote.
Voting for nomination for Vice President for Dwayne Atwood. For Vice Chair.
Vice Chair.
Sorry about that. Vice Chair Atwood, you accepted. So Regis,
Yes.
Scudder,
Yes.
Groom,
Yes.
and Chair Jaffa.
Yes.
That has been approved.
Thank you. Thank you, Dwayne.
So Dwayne, you may move to the vice chair if you would like to do that now, or you can stay where you're at until the next meeting. It's up to you.
Thank you.
Okay, this worked because we have a quorum. Thank you all for attending. With only 5 seats, it's important that everybody attend, and I know that Board Member Groom had previously indicated there might be some difficulty with other responsibilities, but he was able to make it, and I appreciate that. Okay, so now moving on. Coast Guard update. Who's going to give us a Coast Guard update? Okay.
And Chair Jaffa, thank you. If you'd like, we could back up a little bit. I think we missed, under new business, the Harbor Uplands development in our packet.
We did?
No, that's,
It's number 3.
that's next one.
It's the next one.
Isn't that what he thought?
That wouldn't be the first time.
Let's start with the Coast Guard update.
That's my fault, sorry.
You can roll them together if you'd like.
That's fine. It's just a quick update. We had a great meeting the second week of August with them. They visited Seward with some staff from Murkowski, and they've upped their plan, and they hope to release an RFP here late 2025 and release that bid out next year for the new dock across the bay. So it's getting some traction. Last time, at the beginning of the year, they were up talking about and had met with us to discuss that plan, and it was a 5-year plan with really no end in sight, so it's nice to see that be bumped up now to just a few months out.
So we've been working on this since 2014. I've been working on it, and now Tony's taking it over. But I just want everybody to know that the Frederick Man pulled into Kodiak Port 2 days ago. The boat is coming to Seward, pulled into Kodiak. So it's temporarily in Kodiak with no infrastructure. So that's kind of, according to the people I talked to, that they're just tied up to some dock over there.
Some dock?
Some dock. It's not even their dock.
They're at the last dock.
The last dock?
Yep.
Yeah. So why can't they come to Seward and go to the Mustang spot? That's all. Just kind of curious. We know that boat's supposed to come to Seward. I was going to call over to Kenai and talk to, what's her name there? Yeah.
I think the harbor master has a phone call to make.
Yeah.
Elena.
Well, Elena Sprague, yeah. So
What was the Coast Guard boat called?
the Frederick Man. It just got done and it came up to Seward, so.
What's the classification?
Yeah.
FRP?
Fast response cutter, yeah. FRC, yeah.
Oh, it's fast response.
Yep.
Well, while we're talking about the Coast Guard, development, I guess we call it upland development, is progressing. I mean, the infrastructure for support, their housing, maintenance, and those types of things, is that completed? Or I think Council dealt with some of that as well.
That is not completed. We did visit that site. They were very excited about all the progress that has happened on that hilltop subdivision, and to see some other houses going up. And some of the personnel there were under the impression that it was going to be out in the sticks, were their words, and there weren't going to be other houses around. So they were, again, that just added to their excitement to be in a subdivision with doorway, a well-established subdivision, and then clear view down the street as well. So they're happy with their location. And they're hoping to mirror, they just finished their housing project in Kodiak, and they're hoping to sort of mirror what they did over there here.
Can I ask a question about that?
No.
So thank you, they've already purchased the property up on Hilltop.
Correct.
So they are planning to build up there, but they haven't confirmed that they're putting in a new dock here.
Oh, no.
Am I misunderstanding?
Do you have a question you want to add to that?
Well,
Or answer?
yeah, because I know that they had already reached out to Mr. Zimmerman about building them homes for the Coast Guard at the last meetings that I was attending. So that they are going to build up top, and then the infrastructure is just going up, like you said, it's going to go out the bid for the across the bay, so.
Okay.
I know that they talked to Mr. Zimmerman, so.
And then with the project across the bay, they had, I don't remember the exact number, let's just call it 40 million. They had some of that money already allocated, so they were positioning how they were going to accomplish that build-out and change them their dock plans to accomplish that. Now, all that funding has come, so now that's why they're looking to release all that at the end of the year.
It's not stopped, it's just it's a temporary blockage or it's a slowdown?
For the full funds, is that your question?
Yes.
They were having trouble finding all the funds for the complete project. They had half of it, let's just use that as our number of 20 million, and they were trying to find the rest of that money.
And when we see pictures of Senator Sullivan and Juneau with the new remanufactured breaker, he's aware of this budgetary problem?
He is, and now that has sort of been, let's say it's called released, and that project is a go now, and that's why it's been pushed to the front burner, if you will.
So if I might, and maybe former sailor can help as well here, but with the bird dogging of the Russian and Chinese fleets in the North Pacific, and we all anticipated this, I think a lot of us did, it would seem to me that there should be more Coast Guard activity rather than less. And Seward is a natural harbor, even though it's not quite as far west as Kodiak. Are we making that noise?
We are making that noise, and I think and feel we are still on the list to gain another ship. We were on that list for the Storis. It went to Juneau. I'm happy for them. We'll get the next one.
Sure.
Or the next 4. Why not?
The reason I went to Juneau and we lost it, they already had the dock space. We didn't have dock space. That was for them. That's the reason Juneau we were right there with them, with all that meetings and stuff, and it just, but, they had to rebuild their dock for that, but it's their property already, so that's why they got the vessel, the icebreaker.
Juneau's going to wind up with other problems in the near future for their money.
And also other southeast communities, I believe it was Sitka, their FRC was housed at another location until their build-out was complete as well too. So this is normal for the Frederick Man to go to Kodiak.
Just
spend some time there.
Coast Guard President Sitka too, isn't there?
There is. Yep. And they just did the same thing. I'm just pointing that out. I don't think it's really cause for alarm yet. We had talked about housing it at the former location on Z Float. They had some concerns with the ship lining up with the dock and just...
And the depth, the depth of the water. They like it a little bit more deeper than, they have their rules of how much water underneath them when they go in places. If it hits a certain level, they're not allowed to go in.
Makes sense.
Because that's why when we built Z Float, Harbor Master, Carrie, anyway, she had to dredge further. We had to dredge deeper for them at the end to make them happy for going on Z Float. For just sitting there.
How hard is that to do?
To dredge?
Yeah.
Dredging. And then, I don't know when the harbor is going to be dredged again, but the Corps won't go in there, and we have to pay for that. The Corps would do the original coming in, but we can piggyback with them to dredge the rest of the harbor, which we've done in the past. So they go all the way up to Icicle Seafoods and then up towards the other end, and then down each lane. But that's about it. The rest of it we have to pay for.
Doesn't sound like unsurmountable.
It's a lot of money. Dredging costs a lot of money. I think we had to pay $3 million just for our little stuff we had to dredge last time.
Okay. Anything else on the Coast Guard?
No? Any more questions from the board?
Okay. So if you could give us on the Harbor Uplands, and I will preface this at City Council meeting the other night, you did present, or there was a presentation for this, and I apologize, I missed the last meeting, and I realized that you did bring some of this to PACAB. I had made some comment about being ignorant about some comment. I admitted I was ignorant about the development of the Uplands, so it's here.
Thank you, Chair. I believe it was just the way it was phrased as Uplands Development. I think you had the name backwards, but it's all good. All right, well, if those have a packet, if you want to turn to page 23, we can talk about some of our meetings that we've had over this past summer season since our last meeting. And so we're all aware that where the Uplands is. It's that south parcel on the south side of the harbor. Proper that was put in place in 2005, maybe 3, and that was the dredgings from the project in the harbor. So this is a pretty fun, interactive meeting that we had with R&M and KPB. As you can see on page 24, it's just kind of an evolution of everything we talked about over the course of our on-hand day when they came down to meet with us and tour the facility, walk the area, and then they came down again, and that's when we did our desktop and really kind of hashed out our needs, future wants, and just an idea of where that project could go and in the future as well, too. It's hard to see, but on that top right corner on page 24, you can see the Harbor Master Building on the left-hand side along the breakwater, the harbor side, and then all the lease lots. And then I just want to point out on there, too, there's a boardwalk that goes around the whole perimeter as well, too. I know that was, and then also access for fishing. I just want to point that out as well. Those are all needs that have been brought up over the course of these meetings. Do you guys have any questions with those small photos before we move on?
I just have one quick question, and this is probably addressed in this planning, but as the pedestrian connectivity sort of around the basin and going toward boat launch, I guess there's a pathway that people will walk across? Is there?
That is a great question, Board Member Atwood, Vice Chair. On page 26, we addressed that, and it is a very difficult area, as anyone who's frequented that area in the busy summer months, crossing that launch ramp area, and there's a lot going on. So the idea was to sort of funnel traffic behind the current Harbor Master Building and in between those small lease lots to kind of get them out of the road and then shoot them straight across behind the Park Service to keep that as like that little thoroughway there and away from the road. And then you would just sort of cross that to the other side of that parking lot, and then that's where you'd meet up with the boardwalk there. It's a little bit out of this picture, but I think everyone here knows that area quite well. And then that would bring you to the Harbor Master Building on the corner, or if you wanted to follow it around the whole perimeter, you could. Another key feature is the talk of removing all those campground sites behind the breakaway condos and turn that into a parking lot, and then a green space as well too. And then that would lend itself into tying into the fish culvert and beautifying that area as well also for users. And then follow that plan down the waterfront.
So as I understand the project, you'll have the harbor master's office space is determined by the number of employees and the facilities that they need to do their work, as well as some storage and a shop.
Correct.
Plus sort of an open air conference room design as well.
Yep, if you want to skip ahead to page 31,
Sorry.
There's a floor, a little bit of plan, but if you'd like, we can back up to just the traffic flow of the Uplands. And I think there's probably more parking available after this project than what is currently up there, just with a designed, or a design plan and lines put in place. They also designed one key feature, these ollie lots are extra wide as well too, which is nice. It would be a nice feature for people pulling trailers or with larger RVs as well too, to get up there.
One more question about the sort of layout parking and these drive aisles. Is this all to be paved?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Very good. Yeah, no, I can see where you'll make gains there because, with accurate lines and all of the directional wayfinding signage and everything, it would be, yeah.
Yep. So also on page 26, so you'll make that approach to the Uplands, and the flow pattern will go right, and then head along the southern aisleway, if you will, and then come back down on itself, and that will be the direction of traffic.
Oh, sorry, Board Member Regis.
So, I'll throw a wrench in it here. Where's the lift station? You have to have a lift station, correct? Or did they fix that?
No wrench. So where the bathroom currently is,
Yep.
that will be relocated in line with the lease lots and just be kind of all moved over to that side.
Okay, so you still have to have a lift station to move the,
It'll be over on that side.
it'll be where the restroom is now?
Yeah, the utilities are gonna stay in the exact same place where they are now, so it'll be sort of just in line with all that.
Okay, but you're gonna build a new lift station to support 12
Yep,
businesses?
we will
Okay.
need, there is a possibility that station may be able to be utilized with its current size, but that needs to be, that came up later.
Okay, because I just know that when they built that, it was only supposed to take maybe one or two more buildings that it could support.
And someone had mentioned that it's a possibility with redesigning that it may still be utilized as well.
Okay, thank you.
So, if I might, this is all metered parking, this is all paid parking,
It is currently a paid parking lot, yep, and it will be a paid parking
and
lot.
it would be continue to be paid, okay. So it's a revenue stream. Clearly, you've got a lot more parking potential when it's regulated, I guess, like this, but how is it determined how much space is needed? Just as much as you can get, is that what we're looking at, or?
Our ask was to the designer to see what you can get, and this is what they came up with. There isn't a set number that needs to be allowed up there.
Well, for the lease property and for the harbor property, you'll have some sort of definite number. A leaseholder would have 2 spaces, and you know how many people are in your department. So that's easy. But beyond that, you just ask your designers to say make the most efficient use of this space?
Correct.
I could just touch on that, and she's probably going to jump on it too, but, so the south launch ramp, part of our contract with the ADF&G and all that, is we had to maintain so many parking spots for boats and trailers. So that was, I'm pretty sure he put that in there, and that's why you have to maintain those. For 20 years, I believe, or 25 years, we have to maintain those spots, so.
Really?
Yes, it's part of the contract. They have to have so many parking spots for boats and trailers.
That came with money?
It came with the money that we, yeah.
Okay. Further question? Yes, Board Member Seward.
This is still just a concept, right? There's not actual funding for this. I'm looking at the cost, the estimated cost here around a little over almost $14 million. Right now, this is all on the design phase, a concept phase, so this isn't actually, you're not ready to move forward and kind of take the plunge and just start building this, right? Is there an ETA on when this might even?
There's nothing set yet. I mean, we are just looking, we needed the plan in place to see where we're at, and then we will proceed forward with possible funding sources.
And funding sources are expected to come from where?
That's to be determined at this
Okay.
time.
So the extension across the boat launch is still being worked on, is that correct? The logical pedestrian walk path across the whatever you call it, the boat launch?
The walk path the intent was for passenger flow and passenger safety. So it was to kind of funnel them, say, if you can imagine walking in front of Kenai Fjords, in front of between the current Harbor Master building and the shops, to get them away from 4th Avenue and just keep funneling them south in that same trajectory, and then just kind of spit them out, if you will.
Keep them away from the sidewalk?
Keep them away from the road, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then kind of force them into that.
Okay, so there's a logical way to do that.
Yes.
And then the extension towards the lagoon, I don't want to go too far afield, but former council member Bob Veldetta had suggested that the lagoon be a location for submarine memorial. Can't happen?
No. It can't happen. They were talking about different, you weren't in any of those meetings? No. But it's, well, maybe they're doing it again, who knows? But they're actually talking about moving it across the bay, but moving it down by the airport.
Well, if this grand plan here might consider that, that's all I, okay. A lot of work, and I assume that the designer's, R&M's budget was approved by the city for specific preliminary design work up to 20% or 35% or something?
And I believe that is the next phase of which.
Okay, so this is all preliminary?
Yep.
And it's been budgeted and paid for? Okay.
And if you'd like, we can move to page 31. I'd just like to point out, as this just being an open space for people to utilize when we're not open for business hours, but the intent is to have that space available if you want to have a meeting after hours. You can see the conference room will have a separate entrance, so the public can gain access, have a key code, and use it in the evenings if they'd like to have a meeting there as well.
So just as a crazy question, when you design a project like this, which is critical infrastructure, because the harbor is critical to the city, is this also designed with civil defense component in mind? How it could be utilized as in the case of a tsunami or something like that?
That did come up and was talked about in one of the artist renditions. It shows sort of a flat roof design with the intent that you could go to the rooftop in the case of an emergency.
Okay.
And I'll point out also, we have a parking kiosk as well, which we're pretty excited about. So we have a lot of parking questions that come into our office. So we would have a space within our building for just that department.
In this design, are the bathrooms going to remain where they are, and the showers, public showers still going to be available, or?
There will be a public bathroom for people conducting business within the building, but not for them, open to the public, if you will, unless you're doing business within the building, because we'll still have our current bathrooms at their location now.
Okay, that was the question, is the existing bathrooms going to stay where they're at?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, the existing bathrooms will stay there. That is the plan currently, and then the bathrooms on the Uplands as well, too.
So, Tony, I'm looking at this, the north profile. I assume that's a large window that looks out over the basin. Is that over the harbor? Is that a part of the concept where you have, operational, eyes on, or are you going to be relying more on cameras for?
That was part of the plan, is to have as many windows so you can see our facility. And that is the rub now. We can't even see the harbor.
Right. I'm sure you get into radio contact with somebody and you're kind of guessing as to where they are and.
Yeah. Yeah, so with this, the intent with this area is we'd be able to see out to the south with, vessels coming into the harbor from the bay and on their approach. and then into the channel as well too, and just sort of direct them from there if they need that.
Anything else on the Uplands development? I would ask is, what sort of a schedule? I see the sequence and the budgeting issues, but if this is this nothing's going to happen for another 6 months or 3 months, or what do you see as the next step here?
I'm hesitant to answer a timeline on that, but I think this is a very positive step forward and pushed it closer probably than, this has been on the radar for, 10 years that we've been discussing this. So this is definitely a positive step in that direction, and we'll just keep moving the chain until we get to the end zone.
So that's a follow-up to that. I think our city council member left, but what can this board do to help flesh out this concept, make it more, well, there's nothing we can do to make it more affordable, but to promote it or to review it? I mean, you brought it to us now twice.
I don't have that answer for you just now yet, Chair.
Would you think about it?
If I need something, you'll be the first to ask. Blank check.
All right. Okay, so we'll move on. I had asked for a discussion in new business of our agenda, of our meeting agenda. I think you'll note that we've been here an hour and a half now. Some of our meetings have been down to an hour, but we are scheduled for a 2-hour meeting, up to a 2-hour meeting, which can be amended if need be. But we, in the past, have had a full schedule for our meetings. There are a lot of things to deal with over the, 9 monthly meetings, including a lot of work sessions. So I would ask for you as homework to take a look at our mandate in code, which is very broad. And I believe the current council and the current manager would be open to anything that we can do to be helpful. And if you can see something within our mission statement that we should discuss, when we set our I think it'll be in December, probably. I'm not sure. Is that?
I'm not for sure.
But sometime this fall, we'll be setting our schedule for the upcoming meetings.
Probably December.
And don't come to that meeting unprepared, because if you want to contribute, and this is going to be in my comments as well, but if you want to contribute, there are some valuable things that this board can do, but they need to be iterated and in a professional way, a semi-professional way. Is there any questions on what I'm talking about? We had this statement, and Kristen prepared this for us, I believe. This is our meeting this month, and we have half a dozen things we talked about. There are a lot of other things we can talk about, or should talk about. We can yak all day long, but we want to move important things forward. And we can be a sounding board or whatever for a lot of things for the city. Okay, that's all I really had to say for that. Thank you. If there's anybody who wants to add anything or contribute, otherwise we'll move on. Information items. There's a list of meetings, October 15th, November 19th, December 17th, and if you remember, this was scheduled now to be the third Wednesday of the month, or something like that, second. A regular sequence rather than some random date.
Correct.
So if we were to want a work session, it would, and there's nothing magic, it just needs to be publicly noticed. I believe it's a 7 work days or 7 calendar days.
It's the week prior to the meeting.
So should anybody come up with a topic that's critical or thinks needs attention, you can get to the clerk or get to me, and we can consider a special meeting or a work session, either one. Okay. So, moving to item B, no other items, citizen comments, and we can...
Bruce, can I also add that you should also get with Kristen regarding the work
Yes, I'm
sessions?
sorry. Yes,
And then
of
she
course.
will come to us.
I can
to
send a
add it.
formal request.
Yeah, no, the proper source would be Kristen, and if it came to me, I would immediately contact Kristen, so that's the best step. And I think normally Kristen would contact me somehow or another, let me know. And I wouldn't veto anybody's meeting. I'm all about discussion. So, citizen comments. It's open. Okay, nothing there. All right, so we'll come back to the board and administration comments, and we'll ask the harbor master for closing comments.
I'd just like to thank Kristen for her amazing work she did to preparing this packet and the handout that's in there. If anyone that is interested in that program, I strongly encourage them to reach out and run with it. There's a lot of information there. It's good to see all the faces after the summer. We had a full house in the audience, which is nice to see. Or packed house. Thank you.
Administration.
I just want to thank you all for welcoming me in, and thank you to Tony for all the work that he helped me prepare for this meeting, as well as Ashley, the new HR director, who also prepared me for this meeting, and all of you. Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Groom.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it was nice to see everybody again after the summer. It was a really busy summer for, I'm sure, a lot of us, and it's good to be kind of slowing down a little bit and get back into doing what we do. That's all I got.
Thank you. Board Member Regis.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Bill and his report on the heat pump stuff. Thank Electric for the update, and the hydro thing was really nice. I didn't think they said they couldn't get it going, but apparently they can maybe get it going, which would be nice. And is as the possible hydro in Seward, which would be nice. So October 15th, I will not be here. I'll be gone. I want to thank the chamber for the report. I know she got a whole new crew, so I think she's doing a great job. And I want to congratulate Dwayne for his thing of vice chair. Appreciate it, and that's all I got.
Board Member Sauter.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Kristen, and congratulations on getting that role as the executive assistant. I'd like to offer my congratulations to James Unrein for the award that he won. I cannot remember what that is, but it sounds like it was a pretty prestigious award, so congratulations to him. Of course, thanking Amanda for her report on the Chamber of Commerce. She's doing a great job there. Thank Phil and Taylor, I think is his name, I may have that wrong, for their input. I'm really excited to hear more about the hydroelectric plant, seeing how that works out. That's exciting news. And I also will not be in town on October 15th. I'm going to be leaving state, so I don't know if I need to let somebody know that, or when I need to let someone know
Well,
that.
nice to know that now that we know that two will not be here on that day, unless we...
No, I won't be here either.
So I say if there's really something important that you guys really need to discuss, you could discuss a different meeting day, or you can just cancel that meeting and go to the next month. So.
Let's come back to that, yeah, I think so. Okay, Vice Chair Atwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One thing I wanted to mention is, I was going to thank Board Member Groom for bringing up this topic of marketing on the railroad's part, particularly as it relates to our port. I'll reach out to our marketing director and our vice president of real estate and see if I can't get some sort of a presentation. Perhaps it'd be a good thing to learn more about, and just what our vision is. Yeah, additionally, I would thank those who came and spoke today. Again, it's good to get back together, to get started on doing some work. I know we've all had a busy summer. but I look forward to serving as the vice chair, and I appreciate the confidence of my fellow board members here, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, I've got a couple things. I don't know how many people would be particularly involved with Moose Pass, but the Moose Pass Public Library does have a meeting, a fundraiser at the end of this month. I don't know if tickets are still available, but you can Google Moose Pass Public Library or the Moose Pass Messenger and find out. We do have some Seward people who are coming to help us raise funds.
Date?
I'm not exactly sure. I think it's the 29th, but don't take that for gospel. October 7th, elections, I believe, for the city. I would encourage everyone to be involved with your local government, at least in this most important activity, in voting. Second to voting is commenting and participating. This board sits here with the deliberate purpose of providing a forum for discussion. So anyone who is listening or who reads these minutes should take encouragement to participate in government. It's critically important, and it's good for all of us. I will be miss the October meeting. I will be gone the entire month of October. I hope it's not my last big trip, but I'm going to take a big trip. There are 2 vacancies on the PACAB board. The current rules ask for applicants within the city of Seward if they're available. If they are not available within the immediate area. I live 35 and a half miles from Seward, from downtown Seward, from Race Point, or Mile Zero, and I'm within that area. So anyone within that area can apply. I encourage everyone in the Bear Creek, Nash Road, Lowell Point, Primrose, or any of these other areas to consider what you can do, because we are in one big economic development area. And this board, as much as anyone else, helps and considers economic activities. I think that's pretty much it. I'm very excited about the meeting on the 29th with the electric utility and what can be done with that. I don't think this board is done with our efforts to help with that. Clearly, after the last couple of years, we all seen that the utility needs attention. The current structure that we've seen even points to it more, because it's been so dynamic in the last 6 months or year. It clearly showed a problem from before, and opens the door to the future. Other than that, I thank you all for coming. Yes.
Chair, may I make an announcement too, since you mentioned the October 7th, the election day? We also have absentee voting starting Monday, the 22nd. If you know you're not going to be in town on the 7th, you may come in and vote absentee ballot starting on the 22nd.
The 22nd here.
Here, right here in Chamber.
You just need to identify yourself and...
For the city of Seward and Lowell Point, you come here. For Bear Creek, you go out to the fire department out of Bear Creek.
And I think Moose Pass is a mail-in this year, and not anybody farther north than that, I don't know. They don't even know if they know how to read and write. I know they do. They're fishermen. Of course they do. Tally up those fish. All right, so move to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.